So what's up guys, this is your boy Nick and I'm back again with another tutorial. This time I would like to answer to you this question: why do my Unreal Engine crash, or why do I have this one D3 removed? So like you can see, first of all, I've opened for you the task manager, and I would like to explain to you this using the task manager. And when I was starting this video, I saw this problem that I'm experiencing because I'm using the OBX, and the OBX is running the CPU very high. I think it's because of the interchange of the sound and the recording on the screen, and also like you can see, even my GPU is at work. So those are the challenges that I was going. So, but I would like just to explain to you, to show you something that will make your GPU crash when you open the Unreal Engine. I think that is Unreal Engine from 4.26 and 4.27. Sometimes it crashes, but 4.25 I've never had this problem. So what I would just like to do is that we can just so this is the CPU, and you can see like I'm using the AMD Laser 5 300 graphics. Right now I'm using a laptop. So this will be a good explanation because this is the minimum that you can use when you just want to learn those softwares. Then you have the RAM. We have the 20 GB, which I think is enough. And right now you can see like I'm using 6.5 when I'm using the OBS. So like already 6.5 is at work. So I'm expecting when I just open the Unreal Engine is just going. So then we have the data. So you can see that there's data being transported. And this is happening because of the sound and everything, the movement of those things, the recording and everything is just making everything to go that way. So the Wi-Fi, I'm using nothing, and then the GPU, I'm using 22%, and the temperature is rising at 61. Now, if you see the dedicated CPU, I'm only using 0.5. So right now, I'll just like to open the Unreal Engine, and then we can now start observing. And when you start with the CPU, you can see the CPU is now starting to increase at 55, 2.6 gigahertz. When you go to the, this one is also not doing a lot of work. The RAM is just remaining at the same position. And the GPU is also increasing a bit. So there's not a lot of work being done, changing from whatever I was using from the, when I was just using the OBS alone. So right now, what I would just like to do, I would like to open this file here. And when I open this file, the Metahuman, it always crash. So this is the Metahuman file that you can just download somewhere here. And I hope it's not going to take a lot of time. So let me just go back here. So a bit something delayed here, but right now you can see the CPU is still not too much. The GPU is a bit, and the temperature is also increasing. But when you go to the, so I wanted to go back to the library. So let's just open this one. And now you can see what is going now to happen. So if you see now the CPU, when this one is opening, the CPU start to increase, because the CPU sense those works like the simple works, which they don't need the video memory. So you can see at allow this point here, the CPU went to 100, and then it went just back. And if you can just check on my computer here, the one is just open, it is at 75%. So the CPU is still not doing a lot of work. So but the GPU is also a bit, only a bit, because of the video memory, and the dedicated GPU is still not doing a lot of work. The temperature remains the same way like I have on the OBS, so that is also not a lot of work. But right now, if you can just check this one here, the temperature went up to 82 degrees. This is a lot, like the GPU is right now heating, and this is now sensing danger if you don't have a very good computer, because at 80 degrees means if it is water, it can also burn your finger. And right now you can see right now the Epic Game Launcher, it has been automatically closed because the CPU went up to 100. Right now the CPU is working at 100. And remember, I'm using one of the best CPU, like Laser 5 is not a very bad CPU. right now went back to 28, and when it opened, now this is where now things comes in. Now let's see now what is going now to happen to our dedicated GPU here. Our dedicated GPU is now running at 1.8. So at this point means our GPU is 100% utilized. And this is the reason why if I want to, I'll just do something at my Unreal Engine, it's just going to happen that everything is just going to crash. The CPU is still working, but the GPU is 99%. So the reason to why, if you just check this point here, we have this one, the 3D, which is D3, whatever they call the direct D3, is still also working at 100%. So there's no space left. Then when I just go back here to my dedicated GPU, is also working at 99%. So there's also no space left. So this means if I just try to push this one here, everything is just like, I have this sign here that the GPU crashed. Why did the GPU crash? The GPU crashed because the GPU was fully occupied. That means I've watched a lot of video in the internet that trying to explain how you can just try to do some or reduce some works behind, but this thing, the Metahuman that you have to open here, is using a GPU at 100%. Like you can see, everything was occupied. There was no room left. This one, the D3, was also 100% occupied, and this is the reason why everything crashed. So to answer this question, very simple. Your GPU is crashing because it's fully occupied, and your D3, direct 3D, is also crashing because it's also fully occupied. And to solve only this issue, what you just need to do, there's nothing you can do with your computer. Don't be lied. What you can just do is just to upgrade your GPU, or you upgrade. The only reason here is just to upgrade your GPU, because the CPU, we try to tackle some works and GPU can just vary. It is not always at 100%. It can just go up. But if your GPU is allowed, like for myself here, I'm just saying like it is allowed 2.2 GB, which I think is, so let me just close that one because it's already crashed. And now you can see if it crash, everything crosses and set some errors, and now you can see all the figures now start going back to normal. And that's the problem here. The temperature is very high at allowed 82 degrees. The dedicated GPU went up to 1.8, 1.9. This one was everything was overheating and it could not handle that one. That's why it climbed. So just try to look for a GPU which is allowed more than 4 GB. I think is also a very good one. 8 GB minimum 8 GB, because even 4 GB is just going to behave the same and it will not work. So every time you open a software, try to open the task manager. Just going to help you to show you what you can do. And if you see that here your GPS cannot handle that one, don't even try to do any work, because it will be crashing like now and then. So guys, this is the reason why the GPU crashed. One is that the GPU is overused. Two is that the CPU is also trying to do a lot of work, but if the CPU try to do a lot of work, then the GPU say that my video RAM is not enough, it's just going to crash. Then we had also this problem, like if I can just open, let me just open this again, and you will notice something with the RAM, that the RAM is just going to be used to over, let me just open this again. This thing is just going to use RAM from 10 GB and over, which is also, I think you need a very good RAM, which has to be over at least 16 GB RAM. So you see like now it's starting to utilize the RAM at 6.2, and the software is not yet open. Right now we are at 8, and the Epic Game Launcher is automatically closed because everything is now overworking. The temperature, you can see it is allowed 88 degrees Celsius. That is also too much. This one is now starting to rise at 8.4, 8.7, 9.3. Now it is at 10. So if your computer is running at a RAM of 8 GB, it is also automatically going to crash, because this thing is just going at 11 GB RAM occupied by only the software opening. And now see, when it's fully opened, 12 GB RAM is being used. So I'm expecting when you have your computer just trying to look for alarm which is 16 GB RAM. So there are things. So the thing here is your CPU. Just try to look for Intel i5 and over, or AMD Laser 5 and over. RAM, just trying to look for at least 16 GB RAM. I'm using 20 GB RAM. And then the GPU at least 8 GB RAM. So that was just going to do a lot of work to avoid this on the heating. And then your computer has to be having a very good cooling system. So guys, thank you for watching this video. I hope that I've shown you the reason to where your computer is just crashing every time. And I hope to see you next on my next video. So bye bye for now.